Is it time that Terence Crawford moved on to the PBC? Well, Floyd Mayweather warned fighters like Terence Crawford about a year ago that being his own boss, rolling the dice, taking a gamble was the best thing, and becoming a promotionally free agent, the best thing he's ever done in his career. I'm going to talk about all that and much more. Stay tuned. Smash the like button. We working.
Life is about taking chances and rolling the dice. What happened with me, I could have fought pay-per-view a long time ago. But I had a promoter that didn't believe in me. I had a promoter that had me playing the background. You know, I never cried or complained. What I did is said, put him in front of me, and I'll continue to beat these fighters. Eventually, the world will see, and eventually I'll be a household name. So it took time. But then, once I got away from the promoter, once I got away from Top Rank, a company that that was the best thing in my career, to get away from Top Rank. Once I got away from Top Rank, it was crazy. I bought myself out of my contract from Top Rank for $750,000. And just when I was away from him, just in 3 fights, I made $750 million when I was away from Top Rank. So I made the best move that was best for my career. And the ultimate goal is to put him in a position so that he can break my record. The ultimate goal is to see records broke.
Yo, what up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also, subscribe to my channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the super chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, the Cash App, and the Patreon family. We working. Cash App, $Boxingego. Shout out to everybody for the support. Another great way to support the channel is click the link in the description. It can be found in the description box of any of my videos. ESPN Plus. Get ESPN Plus. They got a ton of original content, docuseries, documentaries, archive boxing fights, and UFC. And all that is $5.99 a month as a standalone app. If you want more content, you can get the bundle, which includes ESPN Plus, Hulu, and Disney Plus, all 3 of those apps for one low price of $12.99. And again, it does help the channel continue to push out content like this and much more. Yeah, Fight World, we back. And I told you I was going to stay on this topic and talk about this in a lot more detail in different videos. So if you guys like this content, smash the like button. Now, this is crazy, you know, and I got to talk about this more and more because I find it pretty appalling. I don't get shocked from boxing, but it's appalling that these statements were made. Now, you would think Terence Crawford, who secured his WBO title defense and beat Kell Brook, emphatically stopped him. Kell Brook, you know, probably going to head towards retirement. And you would think that these would be the greatest times, like the hard work that's done in camp. You got a pandemic fight in. So, you know, sometimes fighters have ring rust and these various types of things with long layoffs. You would think that Terence Crawford, you know, he would be met with nothing but cheers and good times. But instead, before on fight week and after fight week, after the completion of your assignment, you have Bob Arum, who has said some pretty appalling things regarding if he should keep Terence Crawford on his roster. I do have the quotes. You guys seen the clip at the beginning. Floyd Mayweather warned fighters just like Terence Crawford that leaving Top Rank, once he got to a certain level, he had a promoter, so an African-American fighter in Floyd Mayweather, told all fighters records are meant to be broken. And it wasn't until I left, which was the best decision of my career, I left my former promotion, Top Rank, because they had me playing the background. He said, I bought myself out of my contract. And that was captured at Gervonta Davis's fight in Baltimore, his hometown fight last year. So I was at the fight. That's, you know, all my footage. So please don't recycle my footage for copyright reasons, or there will be a copyright strike. But I shot that footage, and Floyd told you explicitly it was the best move, the best decision of my career. Fighters have to take risks and roll the dice. Life is about that. And he says, I bought myself out of my contract for $750K, and in 3 fights, I made $750 million in just 3 fights. And he fought all of his other fights off of Top Rank. So that's a hell of a, like in the business world, that's a hell of a margin. You know, that's a hell of a profit. You buy yourself out for less than $1 million and you make over $750 million, which we know you've made over $1 billion in the sport of boxing. So now, fast forward to the future, I'm going to get to the Arum quotes. It's all on Terence Crawford to see what his next move is regarding his career. There's recent reports that have come out that have suggested that Crawford is unhappy with his promoter not being able to secure the big fights for him. And there's even reports that suggest that there was even some type of $1 million budget put in place, whereas if the Errol Spence fight or a big mega fight is not offered or doesn't come into fruition for Terence Crawford, then they owe Terence Crawford an additional $1 million, not to fight, just because they can't secure the fight for him. And now you have Bob Arum of Top Rank, CEO and founder, and he sounds a bit scorned, and it sounds like this relationship is frayed and possibly on its last leg. So a lot of people are asking, does Crawford stay here in his current situation? And if he does, how will you perceive him? So The Athletic, I will put, these are pull quotes from The Athletic. I will put the link in the description. Bob Arum had this to say about Terence Crawford. Rather appalling stuff. He said he's Terence Crawford. Terence Crawford got to promote like the unified lightweight champion Teofimo Lopez does. Crawford got to promote, and I'm just substituting he's with Crawford because this is who he was interviewing about. Crawford's got to promote like former featherweight champ Shakur Stevenson does, like Floyd Mayweather did, like Manny Pacquiao did. If he doesn't, then who the needs him? He may be the greatest fighter in the world, but hey, I ain't going bankrupt promoting Terence Crawford. Bob Arum continues this full-on verbal assault, says he was asked about, can you keep him moving forward? Can you keep him happy on Top Rank? Bob Arum replies, the question is, do we want to keep him? I could build a house in Beverly Hills on the money that I've lost on Terence Crawford in the last 3 fights. A beautiful home. Nobody questions Crawford's innate tremendous ability. By beating a naturally bigger guy, Kell Brook, decisively, that's a big statement that he's making. The question is, does it pay the bills? Look, you could have the greatest opera singer in the world. If the fans don't support it, you're out of business. Now, I respect Bob Arum's vigor in staying in boxing as long as he's been in boxing, but I totally disagree with everything he's saying. I don't think the issue has ever been, is Crawford sellable? You know, that's what he's trying to spin it to. It's not about, to me, if Crawford is sellable. It's, can you sell the fights that you guys are making for him, right? If you split the pie and were to make a Crawford versus Showtime, Sean Porter, I have no doubts in my mind that the boxing world would be up for it. And you increase your chance. If we're talking business and losses, you at the very least would exponentially increase your chances of making profit. But when you put him in there with Mean Machine that many Americans don't know, and you put the fight in America, in New York, a Lithuanian fighter coming off a bad performance versus Ray Robinson, where I watched that fight because I'm a real boxing head. I thought Ray Robinson beat Mean Machine. It was a lousy performance. So you have Crawford, who's this A-lister. You know, if this was acting, Crawford would be an Oscar winner, or he would be like a Denzel type of actor where he has so many dope, phenomenal performances that are Oscar worthy, you know, or the Brad Pitts of the world. He would be at the welterweight division, at the top of his class, alongside guys like Errol Spence, right? So in order to sell him, you have to put him in a position where the public has a branded fighter in the opposite ring, in the opposite side of the ring, and they believe that the guy has a chance. Because we know Crawford, the way he trained, look at these pictures. These pictures were well before the day of the weigh-in. He's a gym rat. He's a family man. He's a prime athlete. So if the public does not feel that Terence Crawford's opponent has anything for him, then of course those fights, common sense, are going to be harder to get off. But if it's a fight like Errol Spence, listen, go to all of my Errol Spence, just type in Errol Spence and Terence Crawford. Then put my brand name, Boxingego. Put Errol Spence, Terence Crawford, Boxingego. If you look through all of the videos on this plethora of videos that I've done on this very topic, the public is split. Some people say, oh, I don't know. Some people say Errol Spence will beat his butt. He's too big. Some people say Crawford, he's too much of a dog. Some people say, oh, what about the accident? You know, now I favor Crawford, right? No one truly knows until they fight. The point I'm making is very simple. You put him in there with somebody that the public's opinion is not heavily slanted one way, then people are going to talk and people are going to gawk and people are going to be curious as to who will win. So you up your success rate with fights like that. And it's not just Errol Spence. It could be anyone who stylistically could have, issue. Like if this was a couple years ago, I would have loved to see Terence Crawford versus a Marcos Maidana. Marcos Maidana is awkward and he has very threatening power. At the time when he fought Broner, he was the underdog, but everybody respected Maidana. People sleep on Maidana. Maidana had a stellar resume. People going into the Broner fight, people didn't put that into their consideration. That's why people who bet on Maidana made a lot of money that night, because he was somehow a massive underdog. Like he had no chance. He had already fought Eric Morales, Amir Khan, and Kotelnik and guys like that. Victor Ortiz made him quit. So he was a very experienced guy. He had already took his early bumps and bruises where he had horrible performances like Devin Alexander. So a fight like that, if Top Rank, they can't go back in time and create something. But what I'm saying is if a fight like that were to manifest, it would do better than Crawford versus Brook. You also have to look at all these are American fights, right? So you have Bob Arum, who's basically complaining about not being able to promote Crawford, and Crawford needs to do more and be, again, more like guys like Mayweather. But at the beginning of this video, I show you a clip of Mayweather, and he said he had to get away because his promoter, fronted on him and put him on the background, and he had to do his own thing. And doing his own thing, he made a lot of money. He said he bought himself out for $750K, made in 3 fights, $750 million. So that's a hell of an upside. The other thing is, we've seen this before from Top Rank. You can't treat the fighters like cattle. We've seen Bob Arum have a talented guy like Guillermo El Chicao Rigondeaux, and he would pretty much treat him the same way. And he said, Rigondeaux, the networks are throwing up anytime I bring up the name Rigondeaux. It's all in history. So Bob Arum, networks, Rigondeaux, throw up. Let's see if we could, with those string of keywords. Look at the first, Team Everlast. Team Everlast, the first article I see. Does Bob Arum kind of hate Guillermo Rigondeaux Everlast? That's sad, bro. That's sad when the first thing I typed up with those, and it would turn purple if I had already clicked on this link. So you guys could see I just did that freestyle. So you have Everlast, and it says, does Bob Arum hate Guillermo Rigondeaux? Right? And you can see this was Bob Arum going in. He says he doesn't have a fan-friendly style. He was asked, do you not like him? He's a nice kid. I like him very much. The problem is he was trained in Cuba and a product of the Cuban boxing system, blah, 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 etc. He is looking to destroy the guy. So, like, he's talking about Loma. So he's talking good about Loma, and then there's articles about does he hate Rigondeaux. So Bob Arum has played this card before. Now, what is even more shocking, if you look at what he was saying about Rigondeaux, he said, oh, Rigondeaux comes from the Cuban boxing school. You know, he's boring. The execs hate him. Okay, well, if that's the case, even though I don't agree with that, Rigondeaux will knock you out too. He just don't throw as many punches. You got a guy like Crawford who definitely lets his hands go, and he's one of the best finishers in boxing. And the quote that Bob Arum is putting out is saying, do I even want to keep him? I could have built a house in Beverly Hills off of what I lost to Terence Crawford. And you're pretty much throwing that on Terence Crawford. Wow. Shocking. So if you had trouble, like, what's the real problem, bro? If you had trouble promoting a guy like Rigondeaux for the said reason, then you should have no problem with Crawford because he's a dog and he's going to get you out of there. Crawford don't play no games in there. He's a violent finisher. Look at, you're always going to be judged by your peers. Look what actual people in the industry are saying about Crawford. I seen Devin Haney. He like, man, great performance. Bud is different level and, things like that. So his peers know what's up when it comes to Terence Crawford. So I think Crawford ultimately is being highly disrespected here, talking about I could have bought houses and you should be more like Mayweather and promote yourself and stuff like that. But again, Mayweather just told you and told Crawford and everybody who would listen that I was with Top Rank and I had to get away and I made a lot more money because they didn't, they weren't doing nothing with me and they made me play the background. So if you knew Floyd was such a great promoter, then why did your company let and allow Floyd Mayweather to get away, for one? And why did you make him play the background? He also referenced a guy, Teofimo Lopez. If you knew Teofimo was a great promoter, then why did he have to nearly not fight Lomachenko in the undisputed unification, complaining that he wanted more than 1.25 million? Why wasn't he offered something greater? So you guys could kind of see the trends and the pattern, and this archaic way of thinking is, in my opinion, passe in the world of boxing. It's not really going to last. We've seen this with Rigondeaux. Oh, I can't sell him. He's too boring. Okay, Crawford's not boring. They both share a darker complexion. That's about it, But they have two different styles, and you have nothing for that. But when it comes to Lomachenko, you say and tell the world and everyone who would listen, he's the next Muhammad Ali and things of that sort. So Crawford has some real-time, real-life decisions. He got to decide what he wants to do next. If he's going to stay, like, look at this. This is Crawford's box rec. He fought Julius Ndongo, who was undisputed. I respect the performance, but that wasn't a big name in America. That was his last fight at 140, but his whole welterweight career, Top Rank has him fighting Jeff Horn, an Australian guy. He has him fighting Jose Benavidez, who actually gave Crawford a tough fight and lasted to the 12th round, unlike these other guys that he fought at welterweight who couldn't make it to the 12th round. So an Australian guy out of Australia, a guy from Arizona, Mexican-American, Amir Khan, who Canelo had shattered his jaw a couple years before, right? And people said Khan was not the same. A guy from England, Aegis Kavalauskas from Lithuania, Mean Machine, a mandatory, and then Kell Brook. So in 5 fights, 4 of the 5 aren't even from America. In a talent-rich welterweight division with a lot of American studs that fight in or around 147, or 140 who could possibly, like a Broner or something, who could possibly fight. So I think Bob Arum is losing his touch, and he might know Terence Crawford is potentially leaving, so he's lashing out. But I don't think that the problem is ever been, do people want to watch Crawford fight, or can you promote him? It's people are tired of the same echelon of competition for Terence Crawford. So, for me, I would like to see, if you can't promote him, I want to see Crawford take the bull by the horn. Bob Arum also did an interview where he said that the financial agreement can be reached and he'll let Terence Crawford go. So that doesn't sound good to me. That's like when boxers are talking about retirement. If you're talking about retirement, you might as well retire. If your promoter is saying, I'm going to let this fish go, I'm going to let this guy go for the right money, then, and I'm losing money on him, then you have some real life decision. But Terence Crawford, he's his own man. We'll see what he decides to do. But the information is out there, and all I know is I can't have somebody that's supposed to be working for me and promoting me, and they talking like this, talking about, oh, I'm losing so much money on ego. And the other thing is, Bob Arum is saying he got to be a better self-promoter. Why do you hire and pay, why does a person take 30% of your money or whatever their arrangement is to promote you? How are you called a boxing promoter if he got to promote himself? I mean, these things just don't make any sense, people. It says Crawford's got to promote like Teofimo does. But then Teofimo, again, as I mentioned earlier, still had to fight for more than 1.25 million in a unification for this fake Undisputed. And I say fake because of the franchise stuff. So if you realize Teofimo's a great promoter, then why did he get what he felt lowballed until more money came about? Again, why should Crawford have to self-promote instead of just handling his business in the ring? But Lomachenko don't do no crazy pre-fight builds and promotion and all accesses and 24/7s. He don't do nothing spectacular in that arena. He does his talking in the ring. So how come a guy from the Ukraine who's not even American can fight in America they said he got $3 million and change to fight Teofimo, but when you're giving Crawford these types of purses, you're saying he need to do more and promote more, but you have no problem promoting Lomachenko, and it just comes easy. But Crawford got to promote like Floyd and Pacquiao. Pacquiao didn't really promote either. You know, he's just a likable guy, a great fighter, and he had a country of the Philippines that was the biggest star in probably all of the Philippines, to be honest. So that worked out for Pacquiao. Plus, he came out at a time where pay-per-view was super relevant. We'll be on this subject a lot more. Smash the like button. Let me know how I did. As always, let me know where Crawford goes from here. What should he do? Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxingego, the future of boxing.